Okay, well, thanks for joining us for our conversation with Edward Blum, who is president of the American Alliance for Equal Rights, as well as, by the way, president of another group, Students for Fair Admissions, which, as I think most people know, scored, do we say? I guess that's unfair, achieved two major victories in a legal case at the Supreme Court at the end of its last term. So earlier this summer, regarding abuses of, misuses of, unconstitutional practices of affirmative action. And we can ask Edward about that. But let's start with Students for Fair Admissions. When was that founded?
Well, it was officially founded in 2014, Michael. The idea behind it was generated in 2013 when Justice Kennedy wrote an opinion in Abigail Fisher versus the University of Texas, in which he raised the deference threshold for the use of race in college admissions. I was involved in that lawsuit, and the legal team thought that that new higher deference standard would ultimately kill affirmative action. So we founded Students for Fair Admissions in 2014, sued Harvard and the University of North Carolina in November of 2014. It took almost 9 years of litigation and appeals, but finally, this late June 2023, the court ruled race is unconstitutional in college admissions.
So the goal was achieved, but the group will remain in operation to help consolidate the victory or implement it, or what?
Yeah, there's the group will remain vigilant. The group is now kind of taking off a litigation cap and putting on a watchdog cap. We know that colleges and universities are adjusting their admissions policies. Some of them, I think, will follow the spirit and the letter of the law. Others, there's some indication that they won't. And we're going to be following up with FOIA requests and watchdog activities and whistleblower activities to make sure colleges and universities comport with this new law.
And when was the American Alliance for Equal Rights founded?
That was founded in 2021, and it had no activity throughout 2021 and 2022. It was founded in the hope that the Supreme Court would present America with a new legal doctrine about diversity in college admissions and the use of diversity as a kind of a thumb on the scale, either to help or harm individuals because of their race or ethnicity. So it was in place, and once the opinion was out, then that organization then filed 3 new lawsuits.
So who funded or I guess still funds the Students for Fair Admissions group? How did you pay for this litigation? It's a C3, right?
Yeah. So we had our C3 funding, our status approved in 2000, and I believe it was 2014. This has always been a volunteer organization. There is no director of development. There is no director of research. It's me and a handful of friends. And I started knocking on doors. I started going to foundations that had funded the Fisher litigation, foundations that had funded some of the earlier Supreme Court cases that I had kind of sherped up to the court, the voting rights cases, and told them that we probably needed a significant, close to 7 figures, at least for the first year or two. That's what we achieved. We have now, fortunately, had nearly 5,000 individual donations made to Students for Fair Admissions through our website and checks and things like that. But the power of our philanthropy really came from conservative foundations
Mhm.
and high net worth individuals. And I use the modifier conservative. As it turns out, there are quite a few kind of center left individuals who thought that race-based affirmative action in college admissions was wrong, and they were very generous in helping us litigate these cases.
Was there a desire, or did you raise money specifically for certain cases, or were you getting general operating support, or this is a little issue game?
Yeah, no, we're snipers. There is no operating budget, I'm
Yeah,
afraid.
yeah.
The first 2 years, I didn't draw any kind of an honorarium, maybe almost the first 3 years. Since 2016 or 17, I've drawn a $48,000 honorarium. 95%, and this has been quantified, 95% of what we've raised has gone to the law firms or the expert witnesses to pursue these two cases. Out-of-pocket expenses were travel, I don't know, audits, websites, things like that, but all of it went to the legal team. That's how it was allocated.
And this might be an unfair question because you've never raised money for another kind of nonprofit. I don't think. Maybe you have a think tank or something. But my experience is it's quite difficult for people who are seeking support for organizations like yours to submit the requested, the demanded, the required by foundations annual budget, because you don't know the timeline, you don't know the expertise. How much more difficult do you think it is to raise money for the kind of thing you're doing than, I don't know, a think tank?
Oh, Michael, I think on the one hand, it's quite easy. On the other hand, it's enormously more complex and complicated. Going to a foundation and saying, here's who we are, this is our goal. We have sued Harvard, we have sued the University of North Carolina. That's all we do. If we win, then race-based affirmative action will be over, and there will be wonderful unintended consequences in our American public life. Foundations kind of like that idea. The idea of we're a sniper. We're not a battalion. We're not a standing army that advances on this front and then decides, well, we're going to go over here for this year or two. This is it. The money you give us goes to the law firms. That's it. On the other hand, not having these budgets, not having the ability to provide the kinds of things that larger foundations want was a challenge, and we got a lot of thumbs down, I think, because of that.
Yeah. And then one other issue that might have been a challenge, I think, on this front was, the substantive nature of what you were up to with board members of foundations who have family members that would think, well, this is a little hot. This is a little too controversial. You can't take on Harvard. We've got a cousin who's a freshman or something like that. If and when you got thumbs down, do you think maybe that was part of the reason sometimes?
I'm confident that it was. Look, race is different. Race is polarizing. It is a subject unlike any of the others, perhaps except abortion, in which Americans are enormously sensitive about the repercussions of being seen as hostile to America's racial minorities. I have heard it a number of different times. I will give you money, but I do not want my name associated with this endeavor. You must assure me that my contribution will never be made public. That happened at least 50% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, so there's a mismatch between the reality of your finances and fundraising, really, and the perception of it. Maybe, I guess I should ask that as a question. I already know your answer, though. Do you think the left has a particular groups on the left, if we can use that shorthand unfairly, maybe, have to deal with a similar mismatch?
Well, I don't think so. Sorry, there's a fly in my office. Look, we file, 990s. You can look what we raised and what we spent and how we spent it every year from the time that we filed these lawsuits. To be classified as, deep-pocketed, moneyed, dark moneyed organization, the numbers are there. You cannot litigate two cases like this over an 8-year period of time on the budget that we did. No one has done anything like this. We tightened our belts. The law firm had a very modest hourly rate. You will compare what Harvard spent and UNC spent. It is in the public record that it's likely to exceed somewhere between 65 and $70 million. We spent 1/12 of that. So yeah, it is very misguided what the left has had to say about about our finances.
Yeah, I guess I should. And the law firm is.
The law firm is Consovoy McCarthy, and a law firm that did our 3-week trial in Boston is Bartlett Beck. Bartlett Beck just asked for out-of-pocket expenses. They brought in a team of 15 lawyers from Chicago and Denver. I had to rent an office space for them. I had to get 15 nice hotel rooms for them. I had to fly them all over the place. We had to bring in expert witnesses. It was very expensive just to pay their out-of-pocket expenses. But they conducted a 3-week trial brilliantly on contingency. So hats off to them.